It's 8:35, and I'm going to bring together again the chair's breakfast. We had a delay as we were trying to get people onto Zoom into the call, so I trust that everyone can hear us just fine. I'm going to start the meeting. Obviously, Mark Howell is not here. He had a back injury unexpectedly, so I'm filling in this morning. I want to start just with a few announcements. First is that, as many of you know, we haven't been able to meet in the townhouse until recently. We're going to continue that moratorium on using the townhouse until October 1st because the roof next door, the construction is limiting our ADA accessibility. So we're obviously authorized to be here today, but for those who have remote meetings scheduled here, then you might have to make alternative arrangements. The second announcement is just a reminder, the League of Women Voters is hosting a community forum on hate and bias this coming Thursday from 5:30 to 7:30. All are welcome, and hopefully we'll see you there. The next announcement is that the Select Board has formed a work group to look at reporting of incidents for hate and bias within town. We've just approved that work group, and we are looking for volunteers. So just go online, and if you know people are interested, have them just submit a request, and we'll be reviewing those nominees in October. So thank you. And then obviously we also have an honored guest with us today, Jason. Jason's here today to talk about the security protocols for Zoom. So I'm gonna just turn it over to Jason and have you take over the screen and
Sure, yeah. I'm not going to share just yet. I'm first going to just give a little bit of a discussion about this. I'm Jason Bulger. I'm the town's director of the light plant, and I'm also the acting chief information officer for another 12 days, as I told you. But who's counting? So I did want to talk a little bit about remote meeting participation and security. This is a version of a presentation I gave to the select board a couple of weeks ago, and Mark Howell had asked me if I could give this to the chair's breakfast because of the reach that we'd have for different board and committee members. So I'm happy to be here. I wanted to let you know, and I'll say this a little bit later too, but we do plan on offering some training for board and committee members for this as well. Which is especially important for those boards and committees that do not have staff representation at the meetings, because it's often the citizens and the committee members themselves that are kind of running the meeting. So, Zoom bombings are as old as Zoom. They're basically just intrusions into the meeting that are intended to disrupt the meeting. They can be annoying. They can be also very hateful and cause real psychological harm. I think probably many of us have either been a part of a Zoom bombing or at least seen a meeting where there was a Zoom bombing, and you know that it can be incredibly disruptive and is not just a momentary disruption, but also can frazzle people and cause them to lose their train of thought. So it's really important that we try to protect both staff, the citizens, and all of you who are in the boards and committees from this type of really harmful behavior. So there are technological ways to stop or at least hopefully prevent more of the Zoom bombings. We often hear about webinars or locking down meetings. This meeting is locked down, for example. You need to be recognized before you can unmute or turn on your video, and nobody can share their screen unless they're a host or co-host. So those are all good steps to take when setting up a meeting, but it does obviously require somebody to be paying attention to Zoom, to looking for the hand raises and acknowledging people and muting and unmuting, and that takes resources and focus away from meetings. So there's always this balance between managing the meeting, managing the security, but also providing open access, because the whole reason to allow these remote participation components is so that we can have greater engagement from the citizens. So we don't want to create undue barriers to that participation, but we also don't want to create environments where there can be Zoom bombing. So it's a struggle. There's also a lot of pushback from people who want to see, for example, who is in a meeting. Right now we have gallery mode up so we can kind of see who's here. We can see the video of some folks if they turn it on. Turning on webinar format in Zoom can prevent you from seeing who is at a meeting, and it can make it far less engaging when you look at the participation of the members who are in the meeting. And also, when you have a webinar, it can take a little bit of time when you want to recognize somebody. Right now, if the host decides to allow someone to unmute, it can happen very quickly. when you use a webinar, you have to promote somebody to a panelist before they can speak. And when you do that, it takes a few seconds, and there's always this lag of, can you hear me now? Can I speak? And so what happens typically is we have this cycle where there's a wave of Zoom bombings. People respond by adding more security. Then over time, it gets, obtrusive to the meeting flow, and the Zoom bombings are gone. And so people say, well, can we get rid of all these security features? And then the Zoom bombings come back. And so we really need to stick to the security features as long as we can, and try to offset the sort of negative aspects by finding new ways to create more engagement and participation in those meetings. Again, I mentioned that some committees do not have staff representation. Right now, we've got staff who are helping film the meeting and helping manage the Zoom, so that's great. So that means we can focus on the meeting, but there are other, usually smaller committees that don't have that. So they show up, they join a Zoom. And I understand there was a Zoom bombing recently where this happened, where there was nobody in the meeting who was the host who could, stop participation from the people who are doing the Zoom bombing. And so how do you take back control of that meeting? So when I mentioned the training that's going to happen, we conducted training for all the town's licensed Zoom members last year, and we are doing it again soon. We've decided to offer another version of that same training for all board and committee members. And we'll be reaching out to those board and committees specifically, directly, who manage their own meetings and who have somebody create a Zoom link and then are kind of on their own, to come up with some additional solutions. Sure. Oh yeah, could somebody give me a thumbs up or a reaction or raise their hand if you can hear us online?
Paul, can you comment or raise your hand? Well, I can't see him actually.
I don't think
Or
they can
Mary
unmute, but you can raise your hand.
Someone would have, they could say something. Well, they're all muted.
Right, well, they
yeah,
can't
they're all
unmute
muted.
right now.
Okay, so Mark is,
I was just seeing nothing's coming through the transcript.
okay, Mark's saying the Zoom meeting is locked. And, great, they can't unmute.
Kristen,
Yeah.
Kristen, could you hear us talking?
Kristen, we might need your help in this meeting. So Mark is saying that people can't unmute.
Right,
So, yeah,
he cannot
Yeah.
hear us?
and Mary can't hear us.
This is a test, yes.
Yes, it's a test.
Is Minuteman Media recording?
Yes,
They are.
Minuteman Media is, and I don't know if it's,
We'll,
right,
I guess we'll hear it tomorrow.
is locked and people can't unmute.
We'll hear it on when the video is posted.
Well, security's working. Ask someone to say
Mark,
something
can you,
in the chat.
Mark, can you unmute now?
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Mark, can
Well,
you
he
hear
can-
us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, okay. So,
Can you hear us, Mark?
Now I can.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was when I turned on my microphone.
So I heard Mary.
Yes.
Good.
Let me just grab this.
I'm not sure whether we're hearing the room or not.
so Mark, can you
I only hear you, Mark.
Yeah.
hear me?
I
And
think we're having some technical difficulties
Okay,
in
so,
the room.
well.
Yes.
I can hear you, Mark.
Yeah, they're only hearing Mark.
Okay.
was that Dan?
So the
Yeah, it
problem
was.
is that
It is.
we're
Dan, are
using-
you online or are you in the room?
I'm online. I can come to the room if you need me to. You just was running a couple minutes late.
Yeah.
I think
Can I
there's
suggest-
too many people online that I think they've got to get that to work. I
Yeah.
can't get my video to work either.
Yeah, I think it's, part of the
I don't know if they can hear me.
desire to keep the meeting locked
So if,
down.
Oh,
Okay, so
So Mark, should I
Tracy's
come?
in the room and she's saying that they can only hear us, but we can't hear them.
right.
Can you hear me? I'm Nick Pappas.
Mark, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi. It seems like if you're on the Zoom meeting, you can hear each other.
Yes.
We just can't
That's
hear
true,
the
and that's
room.
all.
Hold on. Nicole.
I know, yeah,
Exactly.
it's the settings.
Okay, I hear the room now, I think.
Oh.
Right.
Yes, Wendy, I hear you, Wendy.
Great, so
What?
Jason is working behind the scenes right now. This got triggered when Jason started his laptop, which is echoing in my ear. So let's wait for Jason to return. And Kristen.
Mark, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, The room, I think we can hear the room now.
Okay, cool.
So can people unmute and can they unmute themselves now?
No, the
If they need
host
to.
still needs to
The
unmute.
host still needs to?
Yeah, so it looks
So-
like Nick is unmuted. Nick, can you hear me right now?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
fine.
Okay,
So,
great.
because I assume you may not stay for the whole meeting, Kristen, are you able to help
Oh, yeah,
throughout
yeah,
this
no,
meeting?
there
to
are
unhost?
two other hosts, yeah. I'm
Okay.
not the host, yeah.
So- Okay. No, I know you're not, but someone else will help.
No one could unmute themselves for security.
Right.
Isn't- I think we had this problem, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes, we have. But that's also, okay.
Okay, so,
I was able to unmute myself just fine right now.
Right. It's been corrected.
Everything that you said was said.
right. So I don't think anybody heard anything I said so far.
So you want us to start again briefly?
If that's your preference, sure.
Yeah.
Right,
Is it
well,
on the recording that we're using?
if they use the room recording, yes. If they use the Zoom recording, no. So,
Well, we're using these
right.
links. Yep.
I will just, in 1 minute or less, summarize where we are. Doing a remote meeting obviously allows remote participation, which is what we want, but it also opens it up for Zoom bombings, which can be very disruptive and psychologically harmful. So we have a real responsibility to ensure that we prevent them where we can for the citizens, for the staff, and for the board and committee members. Additional security does also create problems, which we've tried to demonstrate for you today.
Great
Experiment, yeah, thank you. We planned that all night. We stayed up late. So I did also mention earlier that we are offering some training for board and committee members very soon. We'll be sending that out. There's a lot of people. It'll be done on Zoom. And, I think one of the things that's important to understand is that when you get Zoom bombed, anything that you might have read or been trained on will be gone, and you'll just panic, because that's what we do when we come under serious stress, unless we have practiced and rehearsed, right? That's why police and fire and other people who do dangerous things that gets your adrenaline going practice all the time, is because you need that muscle memory. So as part of the training, we do kind of, depending on the number of people in the session, allow people to be the host and practice. And, somebody says, okay, I'm Zoom bombing, and you can't obviously recreate the stress of the moment, but doing it a few times will get you to the point where you can at least stop it. Zoom makes it very easy with just 2 clicks to stop any Zoom bombing that's in progress. And once you stop it, then you can take a breath and say, okay, now let me refer to my document or my training, and I can now slowly let things back on, let people back in, or re-enable the meeting. Let's see, board and committee member training. The other thing that we can do with or without a webinar license is restricting participation. I think that, the goal is to allow people to mute and unmute and turn on their video and participate in a meeting, but you obviously need a level of trust with the meeting. If there are 2 members of a committee that are online and it's a small committee and there's no members of the public, you probably don't need the same level of security than you do when you have 30 people online, half of whom you don't recognize. And so, the security can be adaptive, and we do talk about starting at a very secure point and then assessing the situation and trying to scope to that, because you don't want to create barriers for your own board or committee members. Another thing we've had issues with is maybe when a meeting starts, we will allow the committee members to unmute themselves and turn on their video, and then we'll start the meeting and lock it down for everyone else. And then a board or committee member says, oh, somebody just rang my doorbell, and they turn off their video and they mute themselves, and then they come back, and then nobody can hear them. And so it does take a little bit of getting used to, but once you get in the flow, it becomes much more natural. The other thing we'll talk about is screen sharing. Screen sharing is a primary method of Zoom bombing. Excuse me. Zoom bombers will share their screen, and then you will not be able to take back over the meeting until you stop that. Screen sharing also results in the more obscene things that happen in Zoom bombings, and so it's really, really important to start with not enabling screen sharing unless you are the host or co-host. It's very easy to let certain members share their screen then by just promoting them temporarily to co-host in a regular meeting, or promoting them to a panelist in a webinar. There is a document that we put in the select board packet that we'll be emailing to everybody here today and also posting prominently on the website, that is just a guide to everything that I've just said, as well as some recommended Zoom settings, and also a section on kind of open meeting law compliance. It's really important to make sure that we comply with the law first and foremost, both federal law in terms of First Amendment rights. You know, people can say things you don't like. It doesn't mean you can kick them out of a meeting if they're saying something that I don't like the committee's work, for example. But there are, you know, you can certainly stop it when people become hateful or obscene, you know, and I think that there's a little bit of information about that here too. And then also just open meeting law, what we need to do in terms of remote participation. There are certain things you need to do when hosting a fully remote or partially remote meeting, depending on where your board and committee members are. I know the select board is pretty well versed in it, but it's important to know those rules so that you don't run afoul of open meeting law and potentially take votes in a setting that people could challenge later. When a Zoom bombing happens, you know, after the meeting, it's important to let some people know. The first entity is Minuteman Media, because they're going to take your Zoom meeting and put it on the internet on YouTube so that people can watch it later. And we want to make sure that we edit out that content. The other thing is the police department. Depending on the Zoom bombing, it's important for them to know so they can investigate that if there was a crime that happened. And then also the meeting creator, either the town manager's office or whoever created your meeting, staff member, and potentially IT, because there might be settings you could change going forward to prevent that from happening again, and we obviously don't want to see repeats of this. So reach out and get help to make sure that the meeting is secure in the future. So I think with that, I'll pause on the Zoom bombing security portion, and I'm going to talk a little bit about AI and meeting minutes, but before I do, maybe we'll pause and see if there's any questions. If that's
Right. Are there any questions from folks in the room?
A
Keith?
question on the procedure that, considering that we're paying so much attention to hate speak, and since a lot of what we see in Zoom bombings constitutes that, how does that, and I heard reference that the police might look into it, it seems like that the police ought to be permanently a part of whatever reporting structure we have for hate speak, including Zoom bombing.
Yes, I think that's the expectation.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely recommend the police get involved so they can investigate it. The other thing that Mark Howell brought up last time at the select board meeting is that the town of Concord is exploring a way of tracking sort of hateful events in the town, and the DEI commissioner or others may be tasked with some sort of tracking system to understand, you know, are these events increasing in frequency or decreasing in frequency or staying the same? So whatever reporting structure is set up there, it would be important to, you know, report these events in the same way to that group so that they can track them, depending on obviously the nature of the Zoom bombing.
And then, Jason, can I just ask one question? When these bombing events happen, can MMN or whomever get to who actually created that event by
Yeah.
looking at the
Yes,
data
so
policy?
that user is reported after the meeting
Okay.
is over. So once we know about it, we report the
report.
user who did it. The problem is that you can create a Zoom account with a throwaway email address and they'll just move on. And they understand it's a one-time use. There is another level of security you can do that forces people to have a Zoom account to participate in a meeting. And again, that's just one of those decision points that people have to make to understand that not all residents are going to have that, and that is going to exclude some people from meeting participation, and that's not our goal. So again, that is always the balance that we have, is allowing open participation, but also maintaining security. I mean, in a room, you have to show your face and show up, and we all kind of know who you are, and we see your picture, and you're recorded. So that's why you didn't see this happening, you know, with frequency in public meetings, because people's reputations were on the line, but now it can be done so anonymously.
Okay, so that might actually explain, I was in a meeting in Zoom where I couldn't get in, and so maybe it's the setting on that particular meeting that prohibited me.
Right.
I needed a Zoom account, and I'm like, what? That's new.
Yes, yeah.
But
you
I
can-
went home and it worked just fine, so.
Yeah, you can
yeah,
turn that on as
okay.
a requirement.
Just a question, when do you think the training might be scheduled?
I would expect that for staff in September and board and committees in October. That's my best guess.
Another question, we had a Zoom meeting a couple weeks ago, and we had a guest for the first time, which was nice, but that person chose to remain anonymous. And so you had mentioned earlier that they need to be recognized and say their name, but he this person didn't want to, he just wanted to listen. He wasn't disruptive or anything, but do we require people to state who they are?
That's a good question. I think if you want to make a comment, typically, you state your name and address
Okay,
to make a
right.
comment for the record and for the
Okay.
minutes. But if somebody wishes to just watch a meeting, I don't think there's any
Okay.
requirement for them to disclose their identity.
Okay, so we don't need to record guest
No.
attendance in our minutes or
Right.
anything like that?
And some people do track that. I know the Light Board historically would have people sign in and when they came in person, and they would put the attendance in the minutes. But there was also a smaller group of people attending, and also people who attended almost always spoke. And so it was kind of like, helped you cover that, because then you didn't, if you forgot to say your name or your address, then you kind of knew. But if you had 50 attendees and half of them were unknown or anonymous or dial-ins, it would be difficult to kind of track that, especially where they didn't necessarily participate. So not required if they're not speaking.
Okay, great, thank you.
Still noted in your minutes if they were,
Right.
Yeah, you could, yes.
And I think one of the security provisions is disabling people's ability to change their name.
That is, yes.
So that's another trick.
Oh.
You should- Yeah, sorry.
Is this more proactive, or has there been a problem in meetings with this?
Oh, yeah, there have been many problems. And I would say right now, the problems are kind of at a peak. So again, as I mentioned, we kind of have nothing, and then all of a sudden we get a Zoom bombing, and then there's a reaction where people maybe focus on security for a while, and then there's no Zoom bombings for a period of time, and then it kind of happens again. But we're definitely in a golden era for Zoom bombers right now,
Right,
unfortunately.
yep, there was one last night. Sorry, Stefan, question?
Does the open meeting law say you cannot mute or hide somebody if they're misbehaving? And I don't mean saying something you don't want to hear.
Yeah. I'm not a lawyer. Carmen might know more than I do on this particular topic, but usually the chair has broad discretion to recognize people. And, I think it's well within the chair's right to keep people muted while the meeting goes on until they choose to recognize someone, and then they can be asked to unmute. So I don't think that the act of holding a webinar, for example, or holding a meeting where people can't unmute themselves without the chair first recognizing them is, violates open meeting law. But that's certainly a fair question of where is that line of, restricting participation versus preserving the intent of the open meeting law. I think there's,
It's pretty obvious when you see it. Oh, I'm sorry, I was just saying, because if you, obviously, you would, I think, even open law, have a right to stop someone even
You-
in person that was
yeah.
acting.
right,
do.
the chair can remove somebody from a meeting and say,
If someone were bombing, I'd worry about stopping them first.
right.
Right.
About open meeting law.
That's what I would.
And the protocol,
Power outage.
the training will teach you that.
Yeah.
It's all those, that
Right.
topics.
It's kind of
Well
like
covered.
pause everything, right?
Right.
Click, and now everything is stopped. And then the host can figure, okay, let me let back in the committee members, let me turn off the ability to share screen or whatever, went wrong. But, again, even with every security measure possible, when the chair recognizes someone thinking that they're a legitimate person who wishes to participate and make a comment, it could be a Zoom bomber who now has the floor and starts saying hateful things. So there's no level of technical protection that will stop every Zoom bombing, but it can definitely cut down on those unintended screen shares, name changes that to something inappropriate, or people just hollering in the middle of discussion for something else where public comment is not being sought. So yeah, I think it definitely prevents that. And, you'll know right away when you recognize someone, and instead of saying their name and address, they just start speaking, and you can just immediately mute them back up and say, okay, let's go to another comment from someone else.
Is
Keith.
town council involved in this training at all? Because there is the Massachusetts court decision that people basically can say whatever they want and insult and demean anyone that they want when they have the microphone. And so where's the...
That's
And
sort of
I sat through virtual meetings and other, like for some city councils, where recently, where the chair, presiding officer, just lets the Zoom bomber bomb, and then the room is still, and then they go on to the next thing.
I'm assuming it's chair's discretion. Just like it is in a physical meeting, it's the same on a Zoom call. It's up to the chair to control that.
Yeah, and how we define Zoom bombing is also a
Right.
challenge, because some Zoom bombing is just somebody I really am frustrated, and they're angry and they're not on topic and they're not focusing on what they've been recognized to talk about. Other times they're sharing their screen and showing pornography or, screaming or saying, quite obviously illegal or, hateful things. So there's definitely a spectrum of that, but council is involved in the trainings and that they vet the materials that we distribute, and also that they have themselves conducted some training and offered certain materials. And there are some other resources on the state's website that we steer people to. So, and we do talk about that. There is a line, and it is hard in a moment, right? Because again, if somebody's angry and they're saying things that are not on topic, it can be the chair's discretion to just let them talk for their period of time and air their grievances. And if as long as it's not, clearly illegal, they can just tolerate that. Other people may say, this is a Zoom bomb, stop. So we need to be careful of that.
And that's why we need training
Right.
and practice, right? Can I just take a moment? Is there anybody online that has a question? Just raise your hand. Okay, I do see. This is Brad Dye. Brad, you can unmute. This is a test. Oh, Brad, oh no. Brad, yeah.
There we go.
Hiya. So in that hypothetical where I have an anonymous attendee, how would I handle that in minute taking?
Yeah, so we can check, and there is guidance in here too. We're going to talk a little bit about minutes, but you can just say an anonymous attendee. You're not required to list everybody who attends the Zoom, especially where these Zoom links go out internationally. You could have 400 people attend and, a meeting, and that's not relevant. But people who speak should definitely be documented.
Okay. All right, so
Any other?
I don't see additional hands raised, and I know you wanted to cover one more
Yeah,
topic.
I just want to cover meeting minutes and maybe some AI tools that are out there. So first of all, Zoom has been integrating AI assistant tools into their products. These are primarily intended to provide a summary and action items after certain meetings. So if you have a group of people, they're talking about a particular issue and who's going to do what, these after meeting summaries are really helpful to quickly say what the salient points were and then who has next steps of what to do. These unfortunately are not good replacements for meeting minutes because it doesn't preserve the flow of the meeting or the buckets for the topics that were discussed. It doesn't include the attendees, doesn't include, the votes and who made the motions and the seconds. So they're not great for minutes, but Zoom does make a transcript. And with that transcript, we can then take it and put it into a tool that can help you with a really good first draft for meeting minutes. And so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the AI tools that are available to you. And I'm going to show a different one today than I showed in the select board, and I haven't tried it, so we're rolling the dice today. But so basically what's happening today is that you have a clerk of a meeting, or you might have a staff who helps you with a first draft of something, but it can take a lot of time to get meeting minutes completed, and they're really required to be voted as soon as possible and approved and released within 30 days ideally, but there's a timeline. And for those groups who meet a lot or have long meetings or don't have a lot of staff representation or who have small membership, it can become a challenge to really stay on top of those meeting minutes. So with some of these AI tools that are out there, it can really help you, again, with the first draft. AI is not a replacement for a clerk of a meeting. It needs to be reviewed and vetted. AI is much better, not hallucinating today than it was a few years ago, but you still need to make sure that if it says that so-and-so said something and made a motion, that that's in fact what happened. But again, in terms of at a starting point to help you drafting your minutes, it's definitely a good tool. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to, for the sake of time, I've done a few things already. So first let me share my screen and I'll tell you what I've done. So what I have done is I've got ChatGPT open. I asked the person who recorded my Historic Districts Commission meeting to get me the transcript from Zoom. So it's just maybe, hey, person who, staff member who supports this, could you get me the transcript to the Zoom? and they gave it to me, and it's a text file. So now it basically just has a timestamp, a person's name, and then everybody who spoke in that meeting. Very small file. I put that file into ChatGPT, and I wrote a prompt. And the prompt, I'll read it in case you can't see it, says, can you please prepare a detailed set of meeting minutes for this meeting that are detailed and chronological rather than just a summary of the topics discussed? Please include the following: the meeting date, the meeting title, the attendees, and please call out in bold any motions and votes, including who made the motion and who made the second. And again, the prompt is everything. If you just say create a set of meeting minutes, it's going to create them in a certain format. If you give it a prompt like this, you're going to be much more successful in a first draft that will look more like the final product. The other thing that I advise, and I didn't do this for this particular meeting, is that take the agenda topics at the meeting and tell them to organize the meeting minutes in those buckets. So if you had a topic to discuss, the Main Street reconstruction, tell it that, because it's going to sort of look at the flow based on the transcript, but it may be wrong. It may come up with, a different set of topics than you had for your agenda, and you really probably want to organize your minutes based on your agenda. So we're gonna see how lucky we are. And now again, a little plug for AI, please only put in information that's public or that you are comfortable disclosing. Don't use this for executive session minutes. It should be secure, but we don't like to trust technology with very secure things. Okay, so now we have Historic District Commission meeting minutes. We have the date, we have the title, we have the location, we have a list of the attendees, the applicants and staff, and we have the proceedings. Continued the public hearing, and you can take this, copy it, and paste it into a document and have a really good rough draft. And the other thing I'll mention is just AI tools are receptive to feedback. If they made a mistake, just tell them the mistake and ask them to reorganize it. The Sudbury Lane and Cambridge Turnpike were actually part of the same project. Can you reorganize that? These bullet points are not detailed enough. Can you please give kind of a blow-by-blow, play-by-play of how the discussion went, rather than this summary. So you can do that, tailor it, and then what I recommend is when you get a prompt that you're happy with, just save it. And if you're the clerk, you're going to use it again next month, and you just then change the meeting agenda topics. And again, within 5 minutes, you have a draft. Now, again, you should be really vetting these drafts. You should be watching the meeting recording while you run through this. You cannot just take this and say, these are the meeting minutes. Again, I think that we'd like to think in a perfect world that everybody is reading every line of the meeting minutes before they vote to approve them, but that might not happen in some cases. So it really is up to the clerk that when they submit the meeting minutes, that they really believe that it represents what happened at the meeting. This is a tool to help you in a first draft, but it's out there, and we wanted to, make people aware that some boards and committees are already doing this, and that these tools are out there. And if you have more questions, you can reach out to me or the IT department. We can certainly put you in touch with some of the tools that can be used. There's no one perfect tool. There's a lot out there. Google has them, ChatGPT, Copilot if you use Microsoft. There's many different AI platforms. All of them can take a transcript and turn them into meeting minutes. You can also take a YouTube link directly, and that's what I showed at the select board. You can take a YouTube link and just say, here you go. You don't need to provide it a transcript. AI tools like this work much better in fully remote meetings, and that's because everybody has a name, and when they speak, it can track them very easily. In settings where you have a lot of people in a room and you just happen to have a Zoom recording, it is a little bit harder because you're not always saying, this is Jason speaking and here's my thoughts, because once discussion starts flowing, it can be challenging to follow who is saying what, but it can still do it, and again, great first draft.
So Jason, that's great. I mean, I'll just acknowledge many of us are not very technical savvy. So at some point, it might be helpful to have sort of an example or a CBD training or something like that. So that might be helpful, something to think of. So Eve, quick questions. And actually, I just want to comment. Can you pull a mic to your phone? We've got some people sort of asking. I'm sorry, you know what I mean? Yeah, mic to your phone. I'm looking at my phone and the mic. Yes, thanks.
Prompts shouldn't be using the words please and thank you and can you and things like that, but to start with the action verb to cut down the number of words in the prompt and hopefully save some trees or something.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. The state did a training on AI recently. They were encouraging people to use please and thank you. Someday these AI tools will be our overlords, and we want them to remember who was courteous to them and who was not. That was their logic. Yes, anything you do to interact with AI takes processing power, just like anything you do on your computer takes processing power. So I would encourage people to be mindful of their prompts. I think that in the scale of impact of saying please and thank you versus the teenagers who are having AI generate images of things to be silly is probably not, material in terms of the environmental impact of being courteous. But yeah, I mean, it's a discussion point people have had, and it does have an impact.
So for the other non-technical folks, like, I love that idea, but I didn't even know what Copilot was when it comes up on my PC. Can you write something up or include this in your training? So, because I love the idea, it sounds great.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Okay, so in the interest of time, since it's almost 9:15, we're going to have to move on. But thank you, Jason, appreciate it. This is very relevant to all of your work, so I think the time is well spent, so thank you. Before we go on and do updates, I want to just ask, does anyone have to leave before 9:30? Eve? Anybody else? I just want to take note. Okay, so Eve, why don't I ask you to go first, give your update? And, Tracy, thank you. Okay.
And somebody.
Okay, yeah, thank Lois. All right, and so Tracy, I'm going to ask you to come up to speak. So, okay, so, no, okay. All right. Thank you, Carmen. Hope you got breakfast. Eve, thank you, Jason. Yeah.
I'll be super quick. We just had a meeting last night, and all I want to say is that we've added a bunch of dates onto our calendar, which can be found on our webpage. In fact, we only had 2 dates, I think, after our site visit. So now there's a total of 6 non-site visit dates for people to watch our meetings. And we're going to be very, very busy in the next month or 2. That's all.
Yes, you will.
CPC, sorry.
Yes, sorry.
What is it?
Yes.
The community preservation.
Oh, got it.
Right.
Got it.
Sorry about that.
And I hear there's lots of applications. So, all right. Lois, can I ask you to unmute and give your update? Is that Lois? Yeah. And then Tracy, why don't you come up front? Lois, can you unmute? I know there's delay.
Lois is co-host now.
Uh-oh. What did that say? This is my vision problem.
That Jean was a co-host now.
Okay.
Oh, Lois, I think we heard you just a second ago. Can you unmute? Oh, Shannon's controlling. Good. Oh, there you go, Lois. All right, you're all set. Oh, wait.
No.
We're not hearing you.
No.
I'm mute.
Shannon?
You're muted.
Now I'm unmuted.
There you go. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, now I'll be really brief. FinCom is well into its usual schedule. We discussed metrics at our last meeting. We'll be talking more about how to be approaching guidelines at our next meeting, which is a week from Thursday. We're getting our first presentation in response to our information requests. The town will be presenting some very preliminary figures, and then in October, we'll be hearing from the schools and more from the town. And we've also tried to focus on some global issues this time. We had a very useful presentation at our last meeting from Hilltop Securities, the town's financial advisor, and we're going to follow up on that within the committee at our next meeting, really trying to get a handle on the debt that has already been incurred by the town, the debt that is authorized but not yet issued, and think about debt issues going forward, since that debt service is such an important piece of what the town spends every year. And I think that's my report.
Great. Thank you, Lois. Appreciate it. Dan Gainsborough, can you unmute? I think that's Dan. Yep. Oh, it's Jean. See, this is my vision problem, so I should have to work on that. Or Jean, sorry.
Do you want me to unmute or?
Yeah, Dan, since you're unmuted, you might as well proceed.
Okay, I'll try to be quick. So we have produced, with the help of our consultant agency, the final report for our initial efforts. It is available online on the website.
Yep.
And That's an important milestone, and I encourage everybody to check it out. We have been coordinating our efforts with the Land Use Working Group. We had a joint meeting with them, and we've been combining our thinking and trying to come up with a concept that would reflect both our efforts and what they're thinking about. So we began that conversation. We had a great presentation from Alan Cathcart and Sven on the wastewater treatment and the progress that they've made. And as people probably know, that's going to have a material impact on the work that we're doing. And so that also is being incorporated into our thinking. And finally, we made some very good progress among the advisory board to coalesce around a preferred scenario, one in which we will begin to be sharing with our several 90+ stakeholder groups, and then as well as with the select board and other primaries in preparation for meeting with DCAM and trying to advance our discussions with that.
Great, thanks, Dan. And for those who don't know, Dan's the chair of our MCI advisory board.
Yes,
so Jean,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jean Goldsberry, do you want to give an update from the Disability Commission?
Yes, I'll do that. Thank you so much. So we had been working for several months with the landscape architect around a project at the Concord Center for Visual Arts, and we were supporting a variance with the Architectural Access Board. After several back and forth with them, that finally was approved in August. And also, along with a lot of work from Jess Porter, we have submitted a grant proposal for an accessibility plan for Concord to the state that would provide funding to hire someone to come in and do a full accessibility plan to give Concord a pathway forward to becoming a more accessible community. And we welcomed one new member at our meeting last week, and at our meeting in October, we expect to add in 2 more new members. So it'll be nice to have some new blood on our commission. And just we kind of wanted to go on record that we were very disappointed that the funding for the amenities building at the high school was not approved by the voters this summer. So that's my report. Thank you so much. I do have another meeting I have to get to.
All right, thank you, Jane. Appreciate it. We'll go back to the room and we'll just go around the room. Keith, can I ask you?
It's okay.
Oh, yeah, okay, I figured 3. Yeah, all right, Keith.
Keith Bergman, Chair of the Concord Municipal Affordable Housing Trust. A couple of revenue-related topics for the trust. First, we've filed an application for community preservation funding in the amount of $785,000 to continue to have funds to implement priority projects identified in the town's housing production plan. That request is supported by the other groups, the other housing groups in town, the Housing Authority. Thank you, Stefan, the Housing Development Corporation, and the Housing Foundation. Last week, at the State House, the Joint Committee on Revenue heard testimony on legislation that would establish a real estate transfer fee that would fund affordable housing trusts. And I had a chance to testify on that. I was pleased to hear from the committee chair, the Senate Chair, Jamie Eldridge of Acton, that the Acton Select Board had actually voted for the first time to support the transfer fee legislation, a statewide local option. So that was great. The trust is doing site visits of projects where other affordable housing trusts have been able to use their limited funds to leverage state funding and do large projects. We toured one in Hudson at the site of its former police station, and we're going to be doing one in Acton in the future, and I will stop there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Theo?
Terry Cummins, Chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. It's business as usual for us. We just handle the cases as they come in, and there is really nothing else to report on that front. So.
Okay, great. All right, Tracy.
Okay, I'd like to be brief, but I have to report on both districts. We've been Zoom bombed multiple times, by the way, and we are solely in webinar format. We have 3 co-hosts. It's Minuteman Media, our recording secretary, and Dr. Hunter all hosts for 3 reasons. Takes a few extra seconds to promote someone, but it's well worth it. So I just wanted to note that. Andrew Herchek can never really join us because he is working, and so he has given me his report, so I'm just going to read it. So I apologize for my tone. Our next school meeting will be on Thursday, September 25th on Zoom only. We moved from Wednesday to Thursday to accommodate the holiday, and we'll be Zoom only as it's also back to school night at the middle school, and we have parents on the committee that need to be there. So Thursday, 5 o'clock. Andrew Herchek will be on the League of Women Voters panel Together Against Hate this week, discussing the school bias reporting system and what we do when we get a report. The students are very excited at the Thoreau Playground because it will open next week.
Wow.
At our September 25th meeting, we'll be discussing a potential connection between the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail and the middle school. This is not something that we have the budget for. It was not part of our design process. Much like the Maisie O'Donnell Diving Center at Beatty, we will discuss it as a committee, and there's a group that is interested in pursuing grants and other fundraising possibilities that would need to go through the school committee to give them the go-ahead to do so. Okay, at the region, at the high school, we had a successful back-to-school night. We welcomed more than 1,000 parents, which was great. We are, in fact, applying for a CPC grant for the amenities building. We will reapply to Concord and Carlisle. The grants are due the applications due this week. Support letters are due by November. We have support letters already. We have one from the DEI Commission, one coming from the Rec Commission, and I will also be asking Jean again for one from the Disabilities Commission, and then we have some other letters coming. We're really excited that Kicks for Cancer will kick off next week with a ball for our students at the Armory. And then the week leading up to the actual event, if you haven't been, I highly recommend it. We have thousands of people come to our campus, but that entire week, every sports team has, they have Tackles for Cancer for football, they have Flicks for Cancer for ultimate Frisbee, Sticks for Cancer for field hockey. So the entire school is really inundated with fundraising, et cetera. So far, CCHS has raised over $1 million, and we actually have a named fund at Dana-Farber that's called Kicks for Cancer, and we're in our 19th year. And then it finishes up the weekend with the Mighty Moose event on Sunday, which is in honor of Concord parent Jenna Swaim, who passed away from ovarian cancer. So if you haven't seen it, it really is something to be seen, and is really just exciting time at the high school. Thanks.
Great. Got a lot of momentum going on that, so
We
that's
really
fantastic.
do. And the other thing I should mention is our format is a little different this year. We're going to have one Concord Public Schools meeting and one regional meeting every month. So we just had the regional meeting, the last meeting. Now we'll go to CPS, and in October, I think it's 8th, we're going to Carlisle. So our meeting will be in Carlisle, and it'll be a regional meeting.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go around the room. In the meantime, for the folks who are in the back room, the audience, can I ask you to come forward so you'll be able to speak in just a moment? But let me have you go forward. Right.
Bill
Just come around
Maracek.
so you're ready.
I don't know if
Sorry.
this mic is on or not.
You want to do a test?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she will.
So, Bill Maracek, Chair of the Personnel Board.
Sure.
We have 2 open positions. We're a board of 5, so we're able to meet, but we are really looking for 2 more people to join the Personnel Board. We are waiting to receive the employee handbook, which had been reviewed by council and sent to the town for their review. Once that's completed, it'll come to the Personnel Board. for us and our review, and this is a voting situation for us to exercise. We're also involved with sort of overviewing the Munis implementation. The Munis implementation is primarily a financial module, but there's also a human resources component to this. So we're looking to add our input in terms of what this human resources module should include. Our objective is to be able to provide the select board with dashboard information that pertains to the recruiting and retention of the town employees. So this is going to take probably several months in order to come up to full maximum, but it's a very important step forward to being able to evaluate how the town is doing in retaining and hiring people.
Yeah, that's great. That is one of our select board goals. Appreciate that effort. So let me just go sideways here and have you give your update.
Okay,
Lose track of it.
Okay, my
Yeah,
name's
go ahead.
Ann. I'm on the board of the Concord Housing Development Corporation. I just joined it, and Julie McClure, the chair, has just sent me this. Number one, CHDC has increased the total amount of small grants for qualifying households to up to $15,000. This program covers the cost of essential home repairs. This effort reflects CHDC's mission to preserve affordable housing in Concord. Two, CHDC continues to work with the town of Concord and the state to determine the conveyance of the site at 91B Main Street. 3, Assabet River Homes in West Concord continues to move forward with their formal approval from the town to remove a pole that obstructed the project. We are grateful to the town as they supported this project, which will include a total of 5 affordable homes. And we are proud that the Assabet River Homes was minimally invasive in terms of tree and earth removal and helped to preserve wetlands along the Assabet River, and the homes are located within 0.2 miles from the MBTA train station. And finally, the Junction Village RFP was previously paused after learning about the decommissioning of MCI Concord. CHDC continues to observe conditions with the redevelopment plan and considers ways that Junction Village and the wider development may support affordable housing creation in Concord.
Great. That's it. Thank you. And I know that we did approve the poll movement the other night, so hopefully that will proceed. Christina.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Christina Kendrick, the chair of the Council on Aging. I'll go quickly too. Last month we sent our newsletter out to all seniors over 60, and we got 40 new members out of that, which was great. And we also had a big increase in the amount of attendance in programs, so that was helpful. We also are continuing our finalizing of our goals and trying to come up with a dashboard that not only aligns with the staff goals, the select board goals, and to see how we can measure what's happening with our goals. And next month is our budget meeting, and also to remind everyone that we decided we're opening, we're gonna do a pilot program for Thursday nights, and our first Thursday night will be October 2nd. We're gonna offer programs to a little younger seniors and stay open till 7, so that starts in October. That's about it.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to switch.
Okay.
You're up, and then Stefan, I hope you'll come forward and give your update shortly. So
I'm Andrea Solomon with Public Works Commission. We had our meeting last Wednesday, September 10th, and had a hearing for the solid waste and recycling program. So our rates for that are increasing just about 4.5% effective October 1st. That is an enterprise fund, so it's fully, the costs are all incurred by the users of that service. We're also going to switch that from a semi-annual billing to monthly billing, and so you will see, if you are a subscriber, you will see that billing start with your utility bills in November. And if you are an automated payment, that will automatically start including your subscriber rates for the solid waste and recycling program. So that's
Is that integrated with the light plant bill, like the light?
Yes,
So it's
yes,
all
so
one, which is
it'll
fantastic.
just be automatically
Great.
rolled over into your utilities, and automatic payments. If you're on that already, that will just start including that service also.
Great, thank you. Going back, you want to give an update on the Ag Committee? Steal the mic here, if you could. Ray, thank you.
I'm Dan Schmidt, co-chair of the Ag Committee.
Yeah.
We had a really successful Ag Day this year. There was a lot of participation. It's kind of fun to see because there were lots of young families this year. I don't know if there are more and more kids in town. I don't know what, but it was great to have. Our next thing is Stone Soup, which is this Sunday from 4 to 7. It's happening at Verrill Farm. You can go to, the website, stonesoupconcordmass.com. If you're interested, there's still more tickets available for that. So
Great.
And a tractor awaits me, so I'm going to take off.
All right, well, thank you very much. And the Ag Day event was fantastic, so
Good,
it's great.
great.
Congratulations. All right. Stefan, just to mix you all up and confuse you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Stefan Bader, Chair of the Concord Housing Authority. Couple of quick updates. The Housing Roundtable was held on Tuesday, August 26th, and we heard from all of the affordable housing interested entities, to include the Select Board, the Planning Board, and so on. At that meeting, there was some discussion by the Housing Authority about a proposed sprinkler retrofitting fire sprinklers in our oldest buildings. And there were statements that suggested that we might apply to the CPC. We have done some more investigation, including finding out more about costs, and at this juncture, we will not be applying to the CPC. We are pursuing, trying to nail down the costs a little bit better. In the interim, however, we also heard from the Concord Municipal Affordable Housing Trust that they invited us to apply to them for funding, and when we have a better sense of costs and the scope of the project, I expect that is the course that we will take on the sprinkler project. That was recommended by the fire department after the fire down in Fall River and some other events. At the end of the day, it's as disruptive and as expensive as it is. It's cheaper in the long run financially to install sprinklers, even retrofitted, than it is to build a new unit from scratch after it's been destroyed by a fire. Not to mention the life safety issues.
Right.
So I will, since Dan gave a plug for Stone Soup, I will also give a plug, unless there's somebody else.
Brad
on the
will,
street.
I'm sure, but go ahead. Yeah.
The very same day, Sunday, the 21st, before the Stone Soup dinner at First Parish between 2 and 4 p.m., solar-related and issues, and Brad can talk about that more.
Should be a nice, fun family event as well,
be.
so, great.
Will be.
Will be, it absolutely will be. And the weather will cooperate, it'll be nice and sunny.
Thank
This will
you.
be great. All right, let me go back around the table.
I'm Sue LaChance. I am on the West Concord Cultural District Committee. And I'll be brief as well. Our big focus coming up is the Discover West Concord Day. So we're working really hard. We're inspired by Ag Day to bring a bunch of folks out, trying to get, music, dance, art, and of course the business, working really hard with the businesses who seem to be super jazzed up about it this year. So I think it's partly the 250th momentum and Ag Day being so successful. So we're really hoping October 18th.
say,
It'll
what's
be a
the
really
date?
great, October 18th, yeah.
Great, that's wonderful.
10 to 3.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. Ellen?
Oh, okay. I have two different committees. Should I do both?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm wearing two hats. I am not Mark Galis, but I'm reporting for Mark for the Transportation Advisory Committee. And I'll eliminate some stuff and be brief about what I'm reporting. First, Stantec, who is our consultant for mobility planning and safety, is going to be, Alyssa Sandoval has been working with them to finalize prioritization of mobility planning and safety for the town. This is something that we paused last summer and we're taking up. We are going to be, Stantec is coming to the TAC meeting October 28th. It's public, please attend. And we'll be presenting the entire prioritized list. It will include things such as what are the key corridors that need upgrades? What are the safety hotspots, which is always something the public has a lot of opinions about? And then what is public transit's parking crosswalk requirements or suggestions that will make our town more accessible, more mobile, and safer for all bikes, pedestrians, and cars. And then we're following that up with November 19th, a public workshop at Harvey Wheeler. And that's where we'll be presenting all this prioritized list and all the plans and asking for public input, comment, additions. November 19th, it'll be 6:30 to 8, but we'll also have a session in the morning. And we really are extremely interested in hearing what the public has to say, because we want this to be a conversation. Don't want it to be something that's consulting or committee-driven. We want it to be a collaboration.
That's great.
Okay, and then to that same, on that same theme of transparency and collaboration, Alyssa has started a working group which is trying to coordinate between town committees, TAC, Public Works Commission, and Select Board, and then staff, Public Works Department, Transportation Management Group, and the police, to basically create a process and then a prioritized list that will go on the website of what are some of the projects that are ongoing, the public perhaps has suggested, so we can advertise the status. So-and-so suggested this particular project. What is it? Where is it right now? Under review, maybe delayed or maybe declined. In engineering, in planning, in engineering. So one of the complaints we've heard from a lot of folks in the public is lack of transparency. So we want to be sure that we list it. People say, I told you a project, what happened to it? So transparency and accountability, which I think is something that TAC is taking very seriously this coming year.
Yeah, no, that's great. That was the number one issue that we heard at the Select Board meeting as well.
Yes.
Same topic, so appreciate it. Do you have any other updates for another committee?
Yeah, so then the other hat I'm putting on, here I actually am the co-chair, the Tax Relief Evaluation Task Force, and we have completed kind of our phase 1 of all our assessment, our analysis, and we're presenting to the Select Board October 6th. And what we're going to summarize is the work we've done to date, and it will include things such as what we learned from the assessor. And this is how is the residential tax exemption working today, who's applied, and also a really big issue, which is the dramatic increase in assessments in the last 3 years, especially for high-end houses. And I think this has increased the attention around the RTE in town. Looking at other tax relief programs available to Concord residents, the Council on Aging has done a great job in promoting that to seniors. Other towns' experiences with the RTE and other tax relief programs to see if we're covering the water and not reinventing the wheel. If we have insights from other towns, we want to know it. We have interviewed 20 homeowners and renters in town to understand what is their feeling about the affordability of housing in town, and do they understand the RTE? The answer to the latter is no. People have a very low understanding of it. And so that's, I think one of the key findings and kind of action items. We are launching a survey this in October, and I'm going to be meeting with a town staff person to put it online and create a hard copy. The survey is going to be doing a lot of things. One of the most important is for all respondents, collect income and assessment, and that will help us decide, is the RTE benefiting the people we want to have it benefit, which is low income, or is it spilling over to higher income people who happen to live in houses that are benefit from the RTE? So a lot of data about that, which is kind of effectiveness, but also awareness and feeling in general about taxes, affordability, and are people considering moving out of Concord, and why? Is it a financial reason, which is we would be listening carefully to, or just, kids are out of the house, or I want a better climate than Concord, and things like that. The survey will be promoted via a postcard that we're sending to all residents. League of Women Voters, first Friday, November 7th, will be on this. I'm very pleased about that. We hope the Bridge will help us on promotion. We'll see how well we do on that one. And that's it. So we're kind of at the halfway point, and we feel pretty excited about presenting results to the public. Please attend the Select Board meeting, and please fill out the survey.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. I know it's been a lot of work for the committee. So, and a survey where you're asking income is sort of always a little tricky, but it's sort of categorical and anonymous. So, But it's important, I believe.
Yeah, so
for the
it's
findings.
anonymous, and all the stuff is self-reported.
Right,
So as in every survey where it's self-reported, you take it with a grain of salt.
Well, but it'll have,
Yeah.
reveal some important
Yeah,
information.
and we do have other information from the Regional Housing Service Organization that will let us collect or look at similar information for 10 lookalike towns.
Okay, great. All right, we've got 2 more.
Can I go next?
You're next, yeah.
Morning, everyone. John Arena for Concord 250. I'll also be brief because right now we're still really at that reassessment stage of what we're going to do in the next year to continue enhancing community events. We're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're going to look at augmenting existing town events next year, like the parade, maybe July 4th. Because the good news is we came in under budget at all of our events. So how are we going to use those funds by the end of 2026 is really what we're facing now. So our next meeting is October 8th, where the discussions will continue, and ideas are always welcome. Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you, yeah, go ahead, Tracy.
The CCHS is playing at Fenway for their Thanksgiving game, and it's being
Really?
pushed as a Concord 250 event. So it's the Wednesday night, I think it's 6 o'clock. So do you have involvement with that or anything that you need us to relay back to it? I've seen it posted as a Concord 250 event.
I actually wasn't even aware of that.
I think you guys should talk. You guys definitely should talk. I mean, so that's one of the goals why we hold these meetings, is that people can cross-collaborate, so I appreciate it.
So if there's anything you need, from the high school side.
Thank you.
I'm quite involved in that game.
Great. And before we move on, I did have another comment. I've heard from a lot of citizens, they love those food trucks and would like to see them come back next year. So just a quick plug.
Thank you, and I'll just add to that, the block party, I think it was very well received.
Yes.
And if that's one of the things fellow co-chair Chris Johnson and I are talking about, can we continue that block party at least for the next couple years if we have the funds to, entertain it again, so.
Okay, and I
just forgot to mention drop-off, swap-off day is October 4th.
Oh, how do we forget that?
Yeah, it's huge. So registration is open now if you have stuff to drop off or swap off.
Yes.
And if you want to volunteer, we need volunteers.
I'll be there all day, thank you, and I'll see many of you there. All right, so Brad Dye, thank you for all your patience. Trust that you're still there. Is he still there? Yes, can unmute. Thank you, Brad. He's still muted. There you go. Oh, there's Dan.
Looks like I can't show you my face, though.
That's okay. The words are the most important. Right.
Thank you. Brad Dye with the Climate Action Committee. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. I have to put my kindergartner on the bus at 8:40. But if you promise to have technical difficulties next month, I'll have time to get down there and be there in person. The Climate Action Committee is continuing its work on the RFP for renewing our Climate Action and Resilience Plan. Perfecting the language with townhouse staff has set us back a couple of weeks probably, but we feel that we're still on track to procure this next month or early November. I wanted to take some time to express our gratitude to the Select Board for Monday approving and yesterday submitting comments to the Environmental Protection Agency in opposition to elimination of the dangerousness finding. That finding is the legal basis for most of the enforcement of the Clean Air Act. In the run-up to the 250th anniversary, the Climate Action Committee called on our elected municipal leaders to enhance their advocacy with state and federal policymakers to oppose dangerous policies that harm people. The EPA is doing something very dangerous, which we know will harm people, and the Select Board stepped up this week. We reiterated the call to take actions like this during the Select Board's recent process on goal setting. And so we take it as evidence that you took our words very seriously and our encouragement very seriously. Thank you for stepping up and advocating for people and a healthy environment for all. I want to also amplify Stefan's invitation for you all to attend Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. on the lawn of the First Parish Church. Sunday is a nationwide day of action celebrating the power of the sun. We're going to demonstrate how the sun provides us with both solar and wind power options and how we can all choose to leave fossil fuels behind. So before you go to Stone Soup, please come to the First Parish Church front lawn and attend Sunday with us. Thanks.
Thanks, Brad. And yes, that was deliberate. We did change the timing of that event so that folks could do both events appropriately. So that's great. One more comment. Yeah.
One more quick comment mentioning public events. On September 27th with Oars, the Assabet River nonprofit, we're doing a river litter collection on the Assabet River from 10 to 12 on Saturday. And then we'll have an art making event at Fowler Library on October 1st, Wednesday 4 to 5:30. And then from October 8th through November 15th, we'll display the art made from litter.
Oh, you know what? I have seen those in other communities. That's great.
I will send it. It's
Great.
about plastics are invading our lives.
Wow.
And thinking of Thoreau, we think he'd like to know that we're talking about it.
That's a great idea.
So I will send that out to you guys.
That's great. I was actually in Japan, in Nanai, and one of their museums, all the curators did the same sort of thing. It was a fantastic display. It was wonderful. It's great. I have a picture. I'll send it to you. Yeah,
Send it.
great. So,
Let's do it.
yeah. Any other comments?
I thought Andrea was on that.
Oh, sorry. Andrea and Nick. Andrea? Thank you. Oh, Nick is Nick.
Oh, Nick's natural resources.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Nick, all right, go ahead. Sorry about that, Nick.
I'm acting chair of the Natural Resources Commission this week. Sarah Grimwood is away. And our last meeting, as I recall, there weren't any hearings. Most people deferred them to future. And the meeting was spent largely with the commission discussing the transition from the work of the Warner's Pond Task Force to a new committee, developing a charge for a new committee. It's going to be set up to make a rigorous effort at ameliorating the ecological problems in Warner's Pond. And so that discussion was well attended by the public and will be continued, not at tonight's meeting, but because we have a scant quorum for tonight, but at the next meeting, excuse me, in the first week of November. And that's it.
Great, thank you. Andrea, are you there? I can't see if Andrea is still on.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I didn't have a comment, but I'm not sure if there's another Andrea.
No,
but
that's
I
okay.
don't.
If you had your hands raised, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Oh, no, I don't think I did. But
Okay.
anyway, good morning, all. I do not have a comment.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. All right, I think
We're done?
I think that's it. Let's no more updates, and we can adjourn our meeting. Thank you all for coming.